morning. I'm the Reverend Natalie Fenimore, and I'm here to welcome you to the Unitarian Universalist congregation at Shelter Rock on this wet Memorial Day weekend morning. As you know, many of our congregation are away at the Congregational Retreat at Sandy Point, and I hope that they have a little bit better weather than we do this morning. I did get a report that yesterday was beautiful there, and that they are having a great time. I can offer you this little mental image of the Reverend Ned White in a kayak floating down the river yesterday morning. So let us begin by welcoming all of our newcomers. Do we have any newcomers today? Any people who came in out of the rain to find a warm place full of spirit? We hope that everyone has a good experience here today, and if our newcomers are interested in learning more about the congregation, if they would look at the newcomer card, it's a blue card in the back of the pews, or go up to the welcome desk and sign up to get our newsletter, although you're always welcome to go online and see our newsletter at any time. You will find in our newsletter a listing of 1 million things to do here, because we are a vital and active congregation and hope to help you to fulfill your intellectual, your spiritual, your fun life of fellowship with us. I'd like to point out a few things from that list. First, after service today, we'll have lunch, as we do every Sunday in the social hall, the UU Cafe. I do need to remind you that for Memorial Day Monday tomorrow, this building will be closed. And it's quite hard to get in here when it's closed. We're really serious about that. On Tuesday, please be aware that there are, we will reopen with our usual array of meetings, and please come. On Wednesday, we will have the Side of Love, a call to challenge racism, poverty, militarism, and climate crisis in the art gallery, which is the room right out there. On Thursday, there's a night of music with supper to nourish the North Shore Soup Kitchen, which we're very proud supporters of. That's here in the main building at 7 o'clock. Wednesday, we will have a Veterans for Peace gathering in the social hall. And I invite you to look in your order of service to see our other social justice announcements for the upcoming month. And then, next week is a very important time in the life of our congregation. Not only is it the Flower Communion Sunday service, but it is our congregation's annual meeting. It will begin at 2 p.m. There'll be a brunch beforehand. Please RSVP for the brunch if you can. It's very important that everyone come and participate in this congregational meeting. Unitarian Universalism is grounded in congregational polity, in an understanding that each member is important, each member has a say-so in how we govern ourselves, how we budget, how we decide on our priorities, and that's expressed by voting in the congregational meeting. So I hope you've all had an opportunity to look at the agenda for that meeting, to come informed, with questions, ready to vote, ready to be part of this process. It's really important. It signals who we are. So, with that lively invitation to become part of our process, I also invite you to become part of our fellowship. Will you now, as is our custom, greet your neighbor? These are our opening words from Philip Hewitt. From the fragmented world of our everyday lives, we gather together in search of wholeness. We cherish our oneness with those around us and the countless generations that have gone before us. Let us labor in hope for the dawning of a new day when hatred, violence, and injustice no longer exist. In this spirit we gather. In this spirit we pray. I now invite Ralph Vega to come forward and light our chalice. These are the words of Albert Schweitzer. At times, our own light goes out and is rekindled by the spark from another person. Each of us has cause to think with deep gratitude of those who have lighted the flame within us. Please rise in body or spirit as you are able to sing hymn number 128, For All That Is Our Life, in the gray hymnal. Please remain standing as we recite the words of affirmation. The words are in your order of service. Love is the doctrine of this congregation. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. To dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need. This we do affirm and covenant with each other.
of peace and the star. Oh, my friend, we have all come to feel the beating of your drum.
It is indeed Memorial Day, a day when we remember the loss, the death of those who have gone out to fight in wars in our names. As veteran and former prisoner of war John McCain has said, one of the terrible things that happens in war is torture. Torture is a war crime. No military person should be tortured, and no civilian. And so today we take an offering to benefit the National Religious Campaign Against Torture. This campaign mobilizes people of faith to end torture, to make it against the policy of this country and the policies of all countries in the world, to end its practice and its culture. And so today we ask you to give generously to this collection so that we may join in solidarity with those who have been tortured, and that we may hope that it will never happen to others again. Will the ushers please come forward? have just a few words to say today. We are here on the Sunday before the national holiday we now call Memorial Day. But its original name was Decoration Day. Decoration Day was created by women who were mourning the loss, the death of the men and boys that they loved, those that they loved and lost to war. In the years immediately following the American Civil War, women began a tradition of going to the grave sites of those who died in this fraternal conflict. The women, both from the North and from the South, shared a common pain. They recognized that this pain transcended all other differences, that death was death, that loss was loss, that grief was grief. So they went to the cemeteries to be close to those they loved, and they cleared the debris of winter away and placed flowers on the graves. They decorated them with these signs of love, with these hopes of something new coming from this terrible thing. Gradually, women began to do this not as individuals, but in small groups. They would go to the cemeteries during this last weekend of May, this end of winter when you could be sure of the coming spring. And they would invite in that coming spring there with their dead loved ones. They would invite in a hope for peace and beauty in the world. They would clear away the old, dead, and they would put flowers on the graves. Eventually, local towns declared this day, this Decoration Day, to be a holiday for their town. And with the passage of time, more and more places adopted this tradition, and it became then a holiday in states. And finally, the federal government followed this tradition and declared it a national holiday, renaming it Memorial Day. Now, of course, then, politicians and generals crowded podiums to give speeches about the day, trying to make that day about them and their causes and their concerns. But still, the women were busy decorating the graves and watering them with their tears. Because this day is a day for remembering those who died in war, remembering their comrades who suffered from witnessing their deaths, remembering their grieving families who now must hold this pain in their hearts forever, remembering the stories that must be told of these young men and women now. It's a day to be aware of this struggle and sacrifice and painful loss of so many, often so very young people. To remember also the women who decorated the graves for those they loved and lost. To remember that they began this day, and not the politicians and not the generals. Remember that we hold this day as those first women did. That it is our day to remember, our day to mourn, our day to take up the causes of those young men and women, our day to bring about the peace that they died for. There's a poem that serves to remind us of this meaning of this day. It is by Archibald MacLeish, The Young Dead Soldiers. The young dead soldiers do not speak, nevertheless, they are heard in the still houses. Who has not heard them? They have a silence that speaks for them at night and when the clock counts. They say, "We were young, we have died, remember us." They say, We have done what we could, but until it is finished, it is not done. They say, we have given our lives, but until it is finished, it is not done. They say, we have given our lives, but until it is finished, no one can know what our lives gave. They say, our deaths are not ours, they are yours. They will mean what you make of them. They say, whether our lives and our deaths were for peace and a new hope or for nothing, we cannot say. It is you who must say this. They say, we leave you our deaths. Give them their meaning. We were young, they say. We have died. Remember us. Remember us. So in memory of them, I will light a candle for all those who have died in war. We will remember them. They are with us still. So now I invite you to please say the names of those you wish to remember who have died in war, or the names of peoples and places experiencing the horrors of war today. I invite you to bring these cloud of witnesses into the room. I name the people suffering from the war in Afghanistan. I name the people suffering from war in Nigeria. For all those who have died in war, who experience its horrors, may we remember. May we hold their pain in our hearts. May we build a world of peace for our children. I now invite us into a moment of silence. Please remain seated as we sing hymn number 391 in the gray hymnal, Voice Still and Small. the spirit of Memorial Day, I now invite you to light a candle of joy or sorrow, memory or hope at either of our candle boxes. Our lives are full of many joys and sorrows represented by the candles now lit before us. This community of faith is here to be companions for you, with you on life's journeys, and that means being together for many hard times. The world around us does not give us much respite from sorrow. But I hope that it is true that sorrow shared is less burden, less painful than sorrow experienced alone, and so we gather at this moment full. We hope for a swift healing for Katie Shaw, who is recovering from surgery and feeling much better. We send our care and support to Norma Holenstein, who is hospitalized after being injured in a fall, and we hold up our support for her husband, Joe. We offer our get well wishes to Diane Lombardi, who's had a knee replacement surgery. And we hold in our hearts Olive Jordan, approaching 100, who's recovering from an emergency appendectomy and is in rehab, along with other Hadley House residents, Irma Grunwald and Miriam Silverberg. We send healing wishes to Hy Livingston, who's on the mend following a coronary bypass surgery. We extend our care to Helen Shiner, who is managing all that must be after a recent car accident. And we hold in our hearts Max Bonfeld, whose changing health has made it difficult for him to be here with us, and his wife, Sandra, who is caring for him. And most suddenly, we recognize the death of Herb Council and Evelyn Reed, who died this weekend. And last night, Marissa Albanese's father, Vincent, also died. He was active in this congregation when we were at Plan Dome and helped to buy this property where we now stand. So many losses, pain, grief, mourning. Lives long and short, experiencing so much. And yet, In the midst of all, life is still full of hope and promise and new beginnings, because we congratulate Frida and Richard Gilbert as they celebrate the birth of their granddaughter, Harper. Among us there is life, there is hope, there is promise. We are a whole here of beginnings and endings and everything in the middle. We do not only mourn, we also dance. Sometimes it's hard to remember that. We also dance. The young dead soldiers of this day also once danced. I'm sure they would ask us to remember that as well, that their lives were lovely and beautiful, and that they laughed and they loved, and they ask us to carry that forward for them, to bring about a world where there is more dancing and more laughter and more love and more smiling babies. That's what we hope to build here in this place. More life, more love, more joy, more hope, more spaces for more smiling babies. Babies that we hope we will never have to send to war. May it be so. Amen. I want to especially thank the musicians today and acknowledge that this is a very difficult time for them. Evelyn Reed was a force in the choir. And I know it has been difficult for them to be with her, companioning her through her illness and death, and I do appreciate your being here with heavy heart. So now I invite us to read responsive reading in the Gray Hymnal number 721. It's near the back. I will read the bold parts and you will read the italics. In the struggles we choose for ourselves, in the ways we move forward in our lives and bring our world forward with us, it is right
to remember the names of those who gave us strength in this choice of living. It is right to name the power of our lives well lived.
We share a history with those lives. We belong to the same motion.
They too were strengthened by what had gone before. They too were drawn on by the vision of what might come to be.
Those who lived before us, who struggled for justice and suffered injustice before us, have not melted into the dust and have not disappeared.
They are with us still. The lives they lived hold us steady.
Their words remind us and call us back to ourselves. Their courage and love evoke our own. We, the living, carry them with us. We are their voices, their hands, their hearts.
We take them with us, and with them choose the deeper path of living.
While this day has long been dedicated to those who died in war, it is also a time to remember all of those who have impacted our lives, who have died. And so now I invite you to name those who you mourn, who you remember today. Speak their names. I know that there are many others who you hold in your hearts. I know you speak their names constantly in your lives. I know they speak to you. They have guided you. Their lessons, their memories inform you, make you who you are. And you bring that here. And so they, through you, contribute to this, our community of faith and love and hope. Their memories, their lives are part of us, who we are, who we hope to be. I now invite you to stand in body or spirit as you are willing or able to sing our closing hymn, number 354, We Laugh, We Cry. believe that the rain has stopped, and it might be a good time, if you have a moment, to walk down to the Remembrance Garden at the edge of the driveway here and spend some time there with the memories of those we have loved and lost in this, our community. These are the closing words of Mary Oliver. To live in this world, you must be able to do 3 things: to love what is mortal, to hold it against your bones, knowing your own life depends on it, and when the time comes to let it go, to let it go.